Well, right now it is just super humid out there, and this is sort of like fuel, if you will, for these thunderstorms to interact with. We have one giant thunderstorm we've been tracking for the last couple of hours, and that's the main game in town right now. Folks, this is a really wicked storm. It's producing a tremendous amount of lightning, torrential rainfall, possibility of tornadoes out to the west of us. In fact, Brian Briggs here with me. Let's talk about this. Okay, so this just came in. I mean, literally seconds ago, a tornado warning has now been issued for western Carter County. Now, this storm really has a history of producing some extreme weather, not only high winds, but incredible amounts of hail. Here you can see on our velocity scope, if you look right in here between Velma and Waurika, we have this very tight couplet here. Do you see where the bright red is right next to the green? That's the most likely location of the rotation sufficient to produce a tornado. Now, we've had several reports as this storm was farther west that it was producing tornadoes on and off. This is the first time we've seen that in about an hour, and it's tracking to the east-southeast again toward Healdton right now. And we are also noticing these storms have produced an immense amount of hail. This is the actual Doppler estimated hail track as this same storm cell went through Lawton in the last hour and a half. Much of the city of Lawton has been hammered by egg to tennis ball to baseball size hail confirmed. So it's a real mess there in Lawton, Oklahoma. So the same storm we're talking about now having a possible tornado in it, and that's this storm tracking out of Stevens County, has a history of producing some extreme hail, high winds, and a tremendous amount of rainfall and lightning. So again, this really has all the elements in it that make it a violent and dangerous storm. Meteorologist Brady Blackstock, Brian Briggs in the back. Guys, can you give us the parameters on this warning since it just popped up when I walked in front of the screen? Expiration time, what's the Weather Service say is in here?
As of 6 o'clock, which was 2 minutes ago, the severe thunderstorm capable of producing a tornado was near Loco, moving southeast at 40 miles an hour. Now, this is radar indicated rotation, so has not been confirmed yet, but locations impacted include Healdton, Wilson, Ringling, Loco, Graham, Milo, Cornish, and Fox, which a couple of those locations are in our area here, but that's where we are with at least that warning. And there are some new tornado warnings in the vicinity here. So again, a dangerous storm moving into western parts near the I-35 corridor.
Okay, and we'll go ahead and change to the next radar image. There's a tornado warning also in effect for portions of Jefferson County. And again, this tornado warning is part of that same storm that did produce some violent, destructive hail earlier. So here's the big picture at Texoma. The primary concern, really the only concern we have right now storm-wise, is going to be for you in Carter County, parts of Jefferson County, on up into Stevens County, where if you look at the red polygons, there are several of those. Look at the big picture. All of these red polygons indicate tornado warnings because there is sufficient rotation in those storm sectors to justify the issuance of the warning. One thing you can look at to kind of determine storm intensity is the amount of lightning these things are producing. This is off the scale, just a tremendous amount of lightning. Now, all these white lightning bolts are 5 minutes or less in age. So we're talking hundreds and hundreds of those. So when you see this kind of electrical output, it often equates to a very violent updraft, and the tornado is the updraft. So when that is violently rotating, you tend to get a lot of lightning with this. And can we get a speed on this, gentlemen? What's the forward speed on this tornadic storm coming out of Stevens County? And also, if we can get an ETA, perhaps drawing that into Carter County.
It's going 40, yeah, 40? Southeast 40 miles an hour.
Right. About 40 miles per hour?
Yep, 40 miles an hour.
Okay, so folks, the thing's moving southeast at 40 miles per hour. Drag that box off to the lower left, and we can see right what is happening here. So who's in danger on this storm? Anybody downstream, and you can see the storm clearly, is moving to the east-southeast. Anybody downstream, Lone Grove, Wilson, of course, Ardmore, Marietta, on down maybe even into parts of North Texas here. We think this will eventually cross the Red River and come into North Texas. Often these types of storms become what we call right movers. So they seem to be tracking in a straight line, but gradually with time, they'll bend more and more to the right of their track. Now, if that happens, the storm could also present a threat in Montague, Cook, and Grayson counties. Right now, we think it'll definitely be a huge threat in Love and Carter counties. And in fact, as you can see, It's already a tornado warning in effect for the western part of Carter County. Guys, keep an eye on the chat, see if anything new comes out of there. We have our storm tracker, storm chaser, Mark Smith out, and he is located in Marietta right now, which will be right in the path of the storm. So when that storm gets a little bit closer, we'll be having some live streaming video coming in from him on what this storm is producing. And again, it's highly likely, at the very least, you're going to have some destructive straight line winds, probably 70, maybe 80 miles per hour. Now, that's on the high end of what you normally expect with a severe thunderstorm, but it's indicated in this one. Damaging hail. This storm has a history of producing that. So the official National Weather Service verbiage says 2-inch hail. Our own live Doppler and the composite Doppler really gives you a nice picture of what's going on. So watch with me. It's kind of a little bit hard to see because it's raining so hard. Some of the radar energy is absorbed by that or reflected off, but there is a rotation right in there that is indicative of the danger. And you saw it on the velocity scope, 119 miles per hour. And there's also a second area back to the southwest near Ryan, Oklahoma, pretty well defined here as well. So this is the second region that the National Weather Service says, hey, this could contain some damaging wind or a tornado. So again, there's 2 areas of concern right now. We have a tornado warning now issued. That's on the storm I was just talking about here. So it is in effect now for portions of Choctaw County. It looks like that does include the city of Hugo, okay? Brian, I'd like you to click on that polygon so we can highlight the threatened area there. You can see the polygon is consistent with the path of the storm, which is going to be tracking east-northeast right across Hugo. So folks, if you need to take cover now, as this storm has a history of producing large hail. Like I just said a moment ago, we've seen hail throughout the life of this storm up to about egg size. There's been some winds probably in the 60 to 70 mile per hour range with that. For velocities here, we're kind of in a no man's land area of velocities. Let's switch to Doppler 12 and see if we can see on that. But again, tornado warning for the Hugo area and moving northeast at 50 miles per hour. You can see the most likely spot for the tornadic storm is just southwest of Hugo. So folks in Hugo
on that for you.
Need to take cover now. That's the bottom line here. Hugo and north and east of there. Okay, it's going to come across Hugo Lake. It'll miss you in places to the south of that. You're not in the warning. The warning criteria looks like this. Let me get back on that for you. And you can see the polygon, which is where we identify the threat area by the National Weather Service, is within this polygon. So just south of Rattan in Pushmataw County on down into the central portion of Choctaw County, including the city of Hugo. Fort Towson, you're also included in this warning, as is Sawyer. And at the speed this thing is moving, the danger in Hugo will be for about the next 10 minutes. That's your maximum danger. And then, of course, communities to the east will also be in danger from them. So here is the most likely spot at the moment for the tornadic circulation, right there just west of Hugo. We can match that up on our Doppler. You just shift it back to the west there, bud. Put Hugo in the center of the screen. Okay. Y'all stand by here if you can. You're not going to see me on the wall now. I need to operate the radar and give you the better information we can by doing it this way. Here is the notch on Doppler 12. You can see it clearly right here. So it's located northwest of Grant and just southwest of Hugo. I mean, we're talking a couple of miles here. And at the speed this is moving, if you're going to get something of this nature in Hugo or Fallon or Messer or Sawyer, it's not going to take long. So this is essential that you take cover now on this. Now, we had reports earlier in the evening that the wind was blowing out windows, wind-driven hail was blowing out windows. So on top of the tornado threat, we have really an injury threat. If you're anywhere near a window, of course, you should be in an interior room away from windows with this kind of a setup here and the tornado warning. You can see the Doppler couplet. That's the red and the green located here. Now, it's showing it a bit south of town. We do know that these storms are tilted, so it's not always a straight up and down kind of deal. And that's why when I show you our Doppler, the notch is a bit displaced from the maximum velocity. But big picture, I'm going to mark this for you, folks. Somewhere in this region here,